And then up in the Highveld, let's focus on that. The Lions absolutely thrashing the Bulls. A great comeback for Combrink. And talk of the Bulls coach really on his way out now. What did you make of that Yuxke derby and sort of what may come of that?
Yeah, I mean, a surprise. I think we always knew that the Lions were strong favourites going into the match, but I didn't think that the Lions would put 50 on the Bulls. That's the second time in 3 matches that the Bulls have leaked 50 plus. Remember, the Crusaders a couple of weeks earlier had been a big one. I think they conceded 61 or 62 points on that day, and we thought that was about as bad as it gets. This was every bit as bad, and in some ways a good statement about the Lions, because it showed that they're right up there with the Crusaders. Matching them sort of skill for skill, blow for blow, in terms of challenging for the title. We know that the Crusaders and Lions do look like they are the two who are going to be the ones who are hard to stop for the title this year. Lions will take a lot of heart from winning so comfortably. Early on, a little bit of promise from the Bulls. Jan Serfontein scored a good try. You just got the sense of maybe a little bit of an old Bulls spirit coming back in, but then they just lost the plot completely. Fell like a house of cards, strategically and in terms just mentally. I thought that they weren't hitting rucks. Players were standing off. Their defense, of course, just is starting to leak quite badly. They're now, I think there are only 3 worse teams in terms of try concession, and they're not scoring very many tries, the Bulls. So lots of worries there. Nollis Murray, as you say, really under the cosh. Very sort of non-committal statements from Loftus emanating from that result. Nollis Murray saying that he knows what his future holds, but without the public really knowing what that is. So lots of intrigue about what's actually going on at Loftus. I suspect that if there was a man ready to install tomorrow, the right candidate, then maybe that would be the case. But it seems as though he's going to sort of see out the season. We know that the Bulls are now fighting just as also-rans for their last 3 or 4 ordinary season games. They've got no prospect, I think, of playoffs. Whereas the Lions, of course, just go from strength to strength. And next up for them, the Kings at home. So again, a nice opportunity for the Lions to again strike for potentially another 5-point haul next week. So things looking really good at Emirates Airline Park.
And Rob, on the whole, how do you feel the African Conference is shaping up? Obviously, we've got the June Test winner coming up very soon. And how's it likely to play out afterwards? I mean, on the Kiwi side of things, obviously they've got the British and Irish Lions tour, which will keep a lot of their top players preoccupied for a bit longer. Yeah. So, I mean, how do you see it sort of playing out in the business end?
Well, that could be a little bit of an ally, as you say, for the South African Challenge. I mean, a Lions tour comes around once every 12 years to your specific Southern Hemisphere country. It is a massive event. So for New Zealand players, that is the focal point of their year, really. And that comes obviously during the sort of break period from Super Rugby. So going back into Super Rugby, what sort of mental and physical state will a lot of those New Zealand players be in? You suspect it'll be quite a brutal 3 tests series. There will be some fallout, some casualties from some of the New Zealand franchises. And South Africa, of course, we're under so much pressure to beat France in this series, so we can't underestimate the sort of effort that's going to have to go in from a sort of national team side of things here as well. So that may not be too much of a factor in the end, but it's looking as though the Crusaders, they're 12 from 12. And there is a pretty good chance they're going to end up with 15 from 15, which would be the first time under sort of Super 18 scenario that a team goes 15 matches unbeaten, which would be quite something when you think about it. I'm not saying it will happen. I think they play the Hurricanes in their very last league match away. So that potentially is that banana peel that may yet happen. And if it does, that could allow the Lions to sneak in to that top ranking, because they're now 3 points behind the Crusaders. So that tells you that if the Crusaders lose one of their last 3 matches, I think it is, then the Lions, if they similarly win their last 3 matches, could yet just leapfrog them by a point or two into that top spot, which of course means that all-important Highveld final, potentially, if they can go all the way through the knockout phase, which they didn't manage last year when they were runners-up and of course had to go to Wellington. Yeah. So look, we are set for a very exciting climax to the season. It's almost disappointing in a way that Super Rugby has to go into sort of recess, because it is reaching a nice peak, but no complaints about a New Zealand, All Blacks versus Lions series to keep us our sort of rugby appetites suitably whetted.